And also, you mentioned 18 hours a day. I don't know if a lot of our listeners think about what that means, but I bartended on Husker game days, and sometimes it would be 18 hours a day. And I did this at age 30, like 31, 32 or so. Well, at the end of 18 hours and you're on your feet that entire time, and maybe you get like two or three breaks for half an hour or something, your knees at the end of the day hurt really bad. And as a 30-year-old, I shouldn't, I mean, my body is doing pretty good. And so, and then the next day, it's just miserable. Like you're exhausted. It's like a 12-hour recovery. And you, as a retail worker, were probably doing that like the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th. And then you, like you said, you get Christmas off and you can't even really enjoy it because you're just like exhausted and you're sort of just
Yep.
happy to not be at work. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Excuse
don't
me.
think people really
So
understand
I
what
don't,
that's
I want to
like.
be, yeah. I mean, those 18-hour days are crazy. And I want to just be fully transparent here. That wasn't the norm, like working an 18-hour day, even
Okay.
leading up to holidays, but that was probably a extreme version, but it was nothing to work a bunch of 12, 14-hour days in a row leading
Okay.
up to the
Okay.
holidays. So either way, your point stands. And I mean, it's not sustainable, especially if you're older, like you said, even 30, 40, you start feeling it a lot different. And um, we're talking people who are making careers of this. It's not sustainable if you're worked that hard and you're going to retire doing that. You won't. You physically can't do it. I mean, you
Or
can't
like,
keep up.
let's say you have a family and you're missing every holiday with them.
100%. 100%.
You know, I'm
Yep.
sure
And
you
the
looked
reason
at a
I
lot of
probably
your
stuck out
workers.
as long as, yeah, oh yeah. The reason I stuck out as long as I did is because I didn't have a family and I didn't have kids. Um, I can tell you it would have been too much because I would come home and I would have no time for, a wife or kids. And if I had and tried to do that, I would have probably had a failed marriage. I probably would have been a bad father. And I can tell you that the directors in the company that I worked for, their divorce rate was notoriously high. It's because the company asks too much of you and it runs you into the ground. And it has the only way you can be successful with it in the model that the company had built was to make the company 100%. And if everything's 100% of the company, then you can focus other effort on things outside in your personal life. So the work life balance was beyond toxic. It was not even remotely what any employer should ever expect from an employee. And I'm saying this as like, the directors and the store managers, in my position.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that the pressure is on those people to make their store successful. So it's a downhill, it trickles down, it hits all the department head managers and it hits your uh, assistant managers who run the front end and the back end at night, and they feel that pressure too. And then it trickles down to all the employees who are not managers. And that's where a toxic sort of employer culture, that's where it begins at the very top. And inevitably, the relationships from one superior to the subordinate at the very top levels and how it tree branches down, that dictates what the actual culture is in the store.